Hello, and welcome to St. Southwestern Church. For tonight's service, something else. Here's Nick Girdler.
That's what the Bishop said to the actress. Right, Screen Search tonight with Dave Bradford letting you know what's going on in the cinemas in the area, and Bayview tells you what's going on in the Bournemouth and East Dorset areas. Funky Junction, that's a brand new thing we've got on the programme tonight. Alex Dyke letting you know what's going on in the discos. So a lot of information on where to go and what to do. Our studio guest tonight will be talking about Doctor Who. Mark Benoy is a great fan of his, so much so that he writes books about him. Feline with Helen Nice, well, that's looking at keeping in trim. And we've also got a Bits of Hits competition for you, and lots of great music as well. That's something else right the way through till 6:45.
I suppose if you're interested in a programme, you get to know more about it, and you think you want to meet other people who know about it, and you get to join a society or something, you know.
So do you find most of the people who are members of that society amazingly fanatical about the programme?
There are a few, yes. You can get people dressing up in, Tom Baker's costume, this kind of thing. A few odd people.
What about you?
Oh, I'm perfectly normal.
You're perfect. You read Egyptian newspapers on the train and you're perfect.
Yes, oh yes.
Fine, great. Why did you want to become a member then?
Well, I got the address from somewhere, and I thought, well, this looks good, and it turned out to be good because you get information, you get information about seasons that coming up.
So you learn a lot more about the programme that you're actually seeing.
Yes, and you're sort of part of a large organisation. It's good.
That presumably means now, while the season is on of Doctor Who programmes, you just can't be dragged away from the TV set on Saturday night.
That's right. Back to its old traditional time slot, which is good.
So let's ask you a very difficult question, I suppose. Out of all of the Doctors we've had, which one have you rated as the best?
It's difficult to say. I think Tom Baker, to be honest.
For what reason?
I liked his alienness. He was very different. John Pertwee was my second best, probably.
But the alienness, I like that.
Yes.
That sounds nice. I mean, you obviously, when you get these magazines and things, you put a lot more thought into it than people who perhaps just sit down and say, there we go, that was it finished. A bit of fantasy. I enjoyed Saturday evening watching Doctor Who 25 minutes. You do a lot more thinking about it. That's
the difference between a fan and a general viewer, really. This is the difference. If you're a fan, you like to sort of write things or get to know more about the programme,
So being a member of the society, does that also entitle you to do you go off on conferences and things like that?
Yes, there are conventions every year, I've been to a few, and of course Cinderella down here. We all went to see that. That's got Colin Baker, Mary Tam, people from the Doctor Who are in it. So we all went down there as a group, you see.
Do you get concessions as well because you're members of the fan club?
We should do, but we don't.
You
Unfortunately, no, which is a pity, but there we are.
Right. What is it then about the programme? What special magic has it got, do you think? One that's kept it going for so long, because it's been running now, more than 21 years?
Yes.
It's in its 22nd year now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just so different. I mean, the idea of a police box that can just appear, that's bigger on the inside. I mean, all these very peculiar things, it's entertainment, It's different to your standard sort of American-type sci-fi shows, which are all gloss and glamour and everything. Doctor Who is usually quite low budget, well, relatively speaking, and it relies more on originality, ideas and things.
So one of the reasons is because it's wonderfully British.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's why the Americans like it as well.
One final question then, because we're going to be running out of time in a moment. This controversy that's raging at the moment as to whether the TARDIS should remain as a police box or whether it should be able to go into its chameleon mode and change shape and colour and everything else. Which side are you down on?
Definitely a police box.
It's got to stay.
That's part of the tradition of the show. Definitely.
Are you getting a little worried that maybe they'll throw that away?
No, well, they did say that, and then they went back on their decision, so I presume it was just a publicity stunt.
So they've got to keep the police box?
Definitely, yeah.
Just before you actually came in this evening, you threw at me a thing called a fanzine, which you also edit. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got time to talk about that now.
No.
And also something else I'd like to chat to you about, and that's a film that you've directed as well.
Yeah.
OK.
Yeah.
Could you pop in tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and talk to us about those. I know it's a long journey down from Swanage, but I'm sure you'll get a chance then to read perhaps a Swedish newspaper or a Finnish newspaper or whatever.
It's got to be something that looks different.
Something looks different.
Yes.
OK, well, do that for me.
Fine, yeah.
Meanwhile, you've got an address to give out for anybody who wants to...
Yeah, anyone who'd like to join the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, if you could contact David Saunders, 38 Hazeldean Road, Harlesden, London.
OK, give it another go.
Yeah, David Saunders, 38 Hazeldean Road, Harlesden, London, NW10 8QU.
Great, sounds like a society worth joining.
Yeah.
Mark Benoy, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Great.
Here's Nick Girdler.
Very good evening to you and welcome along to something else. What have we got for you tonight? Ray Barnard will be popping in, telling you what's going on in the New Milton area as far as youth clubs are concerned. Mark Benoy, he was the man that joined us last night talking about the Doctor Who fan club. Well, he's into fanzines himself. He'll be popping in to tell you a bit about that. We've got central feedback with Chris Toner. That's what's going on in the central region of our area. What else? The music tonight, mainly top 40, because we've got a brand new rundown of the top 40, of course. It's Tuesday, so stick around till 6:45 for the rest of something else. Could win yourself a 12-inch single as well. That's in the competition we'll be running. I'm not going to let John Sopel disappear out of the room without making a noise. He's got to stay here until the end of the signature tune, so you stay here as well, will you? Bye, John. Well, I'd like to welcome back to the studio now Mark Benoy from Swanage. Mark came over on the train yesterday. He's here again today, talking yesterday about the Doctor Who Appreciation Society. You've actually taken it a stage further, though, Mark, haven't you, and produced your own fanzine.
Yeah, that's right. Like a lot of other fans, if they're interested in the programme, they get together with possibly a few other writers and produce a fanzine, or zine. Fanzine's basically a magazine produced by fans, for fans, about a certain topic, you know, in this case Doctor Who. That's right, I produce my own. It comes out every few months, and it's been received quite well.
Yeah, I've got a copy here in front of me. Skonos, it's called.
Yes.
Oh, Skonos?
Well, whichever you prefer.
You tell me.
Skonos, I usually say. But,
yeah. You were talking yesterday about the people enjoying the Doctor Who series a lot more because they can get very deeply into it.
Yeah.
This fanzine actually does that amazingly, I noticed, having read the brilliant, I just quote from it, the brilliant arc of Infinity developed it so well, it was almost a totally different character. And this continued into Snake Dance and that rubbishy thing with the brig in. Terminus was remarkable in that it emphasised the character of Nyssa. You really do go into it in a very, very deep way.
Yeah, I think you can't really go too deep because it's basically just a fun programme, you know. But quite, if you're a fan, then you do tend to sort of get talking about quite deep things, yeah, like that.
Very well produced as well. Who actually puts it together? All the artwork in it is quite remarkable.
Yeah, and that art's produced by, well, we've got a few artists. Mainly it's Andy Kerr, lives in Liverpool. I met him a couple of years ago. There was a Doctor Who convention at Bath. I've got contributors, you know, as it were, all over the country, you know. They send them to me, I type them out and produce it, lay everything out, you know, in the magazine.
So how on earth do you find the money to do it? Because, like I say, it is quite well produced, actually.
Yeah.
It runs into 23 pages, an awful lot of material in there. Are you the only person that writes for it, or do you just get anybody to write?
Well, I sometimes write off to people, ask them, you know, to write things in it, contributor, and I get it done quite cheaply. It's only photocopied. But, yeah, it's sort of quite successful, yeah.
How much does it cost you to produce, then?
It costs me about 30p to produce.
Each copy?
Yeah.
And you sell it and distribute it where?
Well, in the Doctor Who Appreciation Society.
So it just goes around the Appreciation Society?
Yeah, same as quite a few other fans. There are lots of fanzines available. You know, if you join the society, you get the newsletter and you can see there are quite a few.
You advertise in the newsletter and say, look, you can get hold of a copy of this.
That's right.
So exchange of information, but on a much more personal level and in greater depth as well there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it allows greater depth, yeah.
Yeah, good. Moving on to another subject, because people out there thinking, this man's a Doctor Who maniac. But as well as that, you've actually moved into films as well.
Yes.
Was it your own Doctor Who film? Or?
It wasn't really anything to do with Doctor Who. It's a 90-minute feature film called Ever. It's an avant-garde thriller, which is what I call it. It was produced last year, over a span of about a year, with a couple of friends of mine. Can I say their names?
Please do.
Julian Butcher and Jason Tomes are the stars of the film. And one plays the hunter, one plays the hunted. It's sort of like a psychological thriller in a way, going through various locations.
Script down to yourself?
Yeah, well, it was basically, it was sort of a convergence of ideas from different people, you know, all sort of put together. There wasn't really a major script. But that's produced on Super 8, shown it at the Purbeck School, and it was received quite enthusiastically.
And you're hoping to show it more widely quite soon?
I hope so, if anybody listening. Yes, sure. Who wants to see it?
90 minutes. It sounds like
90 minutes.
Quite a project. How long did it take you to make the film?
It took a year. It's sort of a feature film, you know, so it would be sort of quite long.
Great stuff.
It's great. It's very enjoyable to make. You get a lot of people sort of thinking of rather weird. In the middle of summer, for instance, we had to have a scene that was taking place when it was raining. And so we had somebody with a watering can and with a hose over the top of two actors pouring water on them. You know, everywhere else, beautifully sunny, you know, people walking by, thought we were mad. Don't know why.
Mark, thanks very much for dropping in. I know it's a long way in from Swanage, but nice
sure.
to have you on the programme to find out what's going on down in that area.
That's all right.